Gotta trust and believe. You got it, 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 you got it. So let nothing hold you down. Oh no, nobody can stop you now. Oh, you got it.
What's up, everybody? I am VanSwan, and you are watching Conversation with Van. On today's episode, I'm actually kind of nervous about this episode, low key, because you know who I'm talking to? I'm talking about me. Yeah, this episode is about me. Conversation with Van is having a conversation with Van. um, just to kind of give you guys a backstory of what Conversation of Van is and where it stemmed from or where it came from. To be completely honest with you, it was something that wasn't planned. It wasn't something that I ever desired to do or to ever um, said I wanted to be a talk show host or podcast host or anything of that nature. Music was my end all be all, which is what I thought. But when God places other gifts and talents in you and other things to do, and He instructs you to do certain things, that takes priority. For me, I'm in a place in a space in my life where God's will must be done and everything else is secondary. So Conversation with Van came out of the pandemic where I felt like it was a time and it was a place where I needed to do more. Do more, be more, and not only use my platform that I have and that God has given me, but also remind people, as God did with me, of how great they are.
Don't let nobody tell you that you ain't good enough. Don't let nobody tell you that you should just give up. You keep trying, you will win. You're almost there and you're prepared. Don't let nobody tell you that you should dim your light, cause God gave it to you so that it could shine. You are great, this is your day. But you just gotta trust and believe that you got it, you got it, you got it, you got it, you got it.
That we all have purpose, we all have a reason, we all have something to live for. A lot of times when we go through certain things in life, we don't actually appreciate those things. Whether they're good, whether they're bad, because they all help to shape and create and make you. You know what I'm saying? So we all have purpose. We have a reason. We all have a story. So let's talk about it. And that's what conversation basically stemmed from. Um, and I'm super excited about it. I've been able to have some amazing guests who come on the show and just be able to tell their story. And people have to realize being transparent is not easy, because there's people on the other side of the lens who is going to pick and rip apart things about you, whether it's your story, whether it's how you look, whether it's how you talk, whether it's how you sing. So to be able to be transparent and to be honest and look past all that and realize that if it's just one person I've changed, or one person I've helped, or one person that my story has made a difference, to or for, that's what it's about. So let me tell you a little bit about my story. I'm 33, born and raised in San Bernardino, California, 909. Graduated from Arroyo Valley, which, oh, man, I have such an appreciation for the Hawks. Yeah, like Arroyo Valley was so influential to me and for me. My choir teacher, Miss Roundtree, my dance teacher, Mr. Wilkerson, Mook, those two in particular were so influential when it came to shaping um, a lot of the artist side of me. And I didn't even realize it at that time, but they were very, very influential. But let me just take it back to even further. I'm PK, and my father is a pastor, Bishop White. He was actually, I believe, the founder of Temple Missionary Baptist Church. And my dad, a lot of people say that I have what you call the switch, and the switch is that I can go from who I really am, which is this chill, reserved, quiet person, timid person, sometimes can't really figure out, to this over the top personality who's very, can come off flashy, can come off like I don't care, and my dad is that person, man. My dad would come into a room flashy looking fly into fashion, rings all over his hands, um, and will preach and sing and do what he does with authority, all while being himself. And I think that that is something that I admire and inspire, and I think that it's something that I've also gotten from him. The passion for music and all of that, And my mom, man, my mom, she is definitely number one, the queen of my heart. I'm such a mama's boy, to to see how hard she's grind and worked and the things that she's overcome is definitely inspiring, and to deal with ridicule and so many different things in her life that I've seen, and to her come out on the other side, I think is great. And it's something that I can relate to because in my life I've dealt with so much ridicule, people talking about me, people saying things untrue, or sometimes they are true, but it's hurt me and it's dealt with me, and it affected me in a certain way. And I think that my mom and I are so similar when it comes to that. We're both sensitive, we're both quiet, we're both we love fashion, we love different things like that, but the essence of who we are is very chill and reserved. Sometimes people can't figure that out. I definitely got that from my mom, and I definitely didn't think I noticed that until I watched Conversation with Van. The first episode where I had my family on and she was just telling her story, and I was like, wow, I'm really the male version of my mom. It's crazy, you know? And then I have my stepfather. Man, my stepfather is he is somebody who he doesn't even realize how much respect and love I have for him, because for somebody to raise um, another person's kid as their own, to love them, never treat them differently, is bro, I got so much respect for you, to love on my mom and treat her as the queen that she is, man. All love. So that's my family. That's my parents, three parents, man. I'm super blessed and honored to be able to have the love and support that I have from them. But yeah, take it back to Young Van Swan. Young Van Swan, man, he was very outgoing. He super outgoing, especially when it came to music. He would sing at the drop of a hat. I remember the first song that I learned was the Wild Wild West. Crazy, right? That was one of the first songs that I learned. I remember being this little kid in the choir, St. Timothy Community Choir, where my grandfather was a pastor, Pastor Johnny Brown, before he passed away in 1998. I would be this young kid in the choir just singing and directing, small, always short. I'm only 5'5" now, so you can only imagine how short I was then, who had this big voice, And the only time I really felt comfortable, the only time I really felt at home, the only time I really felt secure and confident really was when I was singing, when I was doing music. Once I put that mic down, I went back to this insecure, quiet, timid little kid, and but music was always my escape. It was always my escape, So I remember back in 94, 95, I believe it was, I remember staying up late to watch the MTV Music Awards. And I saw this performance of TLC. TLC, if you're hiding under a rock, is the biggest selling female group of all time. They were doing a Crazy Sexy Cool medley in black and white. I remember it like it was yesterday. And it was something that was life changing for me. I remember watching that performance and saying, you know what, I want to do that. I want to be a singer. I want to be a dancer. I want to be a performer. I want to be able to inspire somebody the way that these three people are inspiring me. And during that time, I also fell in love with Janet Jackson. Oh my gosh. Janet is like how everybody feels about Michael, which I feel I'm a big Michael fan too, but how everybody has that craziness for Michael, that's how I felt about Janet, which ultimately she was influenced by Michael, so it all boils down, But yeah, but those two, TLC and Michael, were TLC, I'm sorry. TLC and Janet were definitely the two people who were the most influential musically in my life. And it made me want to do music. But fast forward to 2006, 7, I had just graduated from high school. And, for me, that time was very interesting because when I graduated from high school, I wasn't like everybody else. I wasn't going straight to college. I wasn't um, enjoying the things that 18-year-olds enjoy. I actually, once I graduated, I think like 5 months later, if that, I got married. Had a family, and all those different things. So I was on a whole different path and journey. And at that particular point, I felt like music was nowhere near, you know, the future because I had taken a different turn, a different route. Um, so I couldn't see myself doing music anymore. I was so focused on just being a family guy, being a husband, being a father, and all those different things. Um, Long story short, in the process of all of that, um, 2 years later, the marriage didn't work out, and that definitely sent me somewhere mentally into a very deep and dark space. And music was definitely my way of escape. It was my way to just be able to vent and talk about it. So I did an album called My Story. And in the process of me doing My Story, which is my first album, gospel album, independent album, it was something that I was so green on. I knew nothing about music. I knew nothing about as far as recording is concerned. I wasn't really in the studio recording and writing and all these different stuff like that. I was so green, so new to it, but I was passionate about it. And I just wanted to make an album and just tell my story about the things that I were dealing with and I was going through. Um, and during that time when I was recording this album, that's when I was going through separation and divorce and all that, and it was just crazy. And music was literally just an escape for me. So I didn't have any money create an album or to record an album. So what I did was I did a concert and I got sponsors and people actually funded this project. And I went forth in authority, and that's where it really became. I realized that music is powerful, and I also it was in that moment where I realized that music was definitely a saving grace for me. It was definitely a saving place for me because if I hadn't done My Story, if I hadn't recorded this album, I don't know where I would have been because just singing about it and just dealing with certain stuff was a release. Um, there was a song on that album called "Stand Still," um, and "Stand Still" to this day is probably my most favorite VanSwan song ever. I remember at this particular time, like as I mentioned, I was going through so much stuff. I had family, I had baby on the way, I had so much things, and I was working two jobs at the particular time. I was working at Baker's Burger and I was working at Salmon Well Casino. So anybody that knows about the casino, they didn't at the particular time they didn't have hotels. So I was working as a housekeeper, and so what we cleaned were the slot machines and et cetera, et cetera. But I was assigned the restrooms. The restrooms. So as I was cleaning the restrooms and I was having to clean up so much crazy and nasty stuff, I I I was sitting literally in the restroom cleaning and doing what I was doing, and I was crying. I was like, God, is this really my life? Like, shout out to all the housekeepers. I'm not no shade to anyone who does that. Much respect to you. But for me, it was like, is this really my life? You promised me so much more. You promised me this and you promised me that. And I was actually crying out to God, but almost blaming him for some of the things that was transpiring in my life. And it was like, bro, but at that particular time, I didn't realize it. But me now, as a 33-year-old, it was like, yeah, some of the things that you were dealing with, some of the things that you were experiencing were some of your poor decisions. But even in the midst of that, God, He still kept me. right, wrong, indifferent, whatever. He still kept me. And I was crying out to God, and I was like, God, this is my life. I'm cleaning toilets. I'm supposed to be a singer. I'm supposed to be this. I'm supposed to be on stage. I'm supposed to be having all this. And literally, he said, stand still. I'm God. I've ordained your life. Have faith in me. I've worked it out. You'll see. Just know that I am God.
I doubted you, you came through and say, stand still, I'm God. I am God. I've ordained your life. Have faith in me. Have faith in me. I've worked it out, you'll see. Just know I am God.
And I was just, wow. And while these lyrics were coming to me, all I had was a napkin because again, I was cleaning restrooms at work. We had a I had a napkin, I had a pen, and the lyrics just started coming to me. I just started writing them down, and that was a reminder that in the midst of whatever it is that you're feeling, in the midst of what you're dealing with, that I still got you. It's going to work out. And to this day, "Stand Still" is my my favorite VanSwan song because of what God reminded me of. Yeah. So that was my story. And then after I did that particular album, I wanted to do something different. I went and did a secular album. Uh, I did an album called 30. And that time was very interesting too. Even though it was a secular album, it was still another way of escape for me, music, to just try to feel something. I was at that particular time. I was going through so much. I was depressed. I was sad. I had anxiety about a lot of different things. My aunt had just passed away. My cousin was shot 8 times after that. My uncle was diagnosed with cancer. You know, I was dealing with financial issues. I was just in a very dark and depressed state of mind, and 30 was really just an escape for me to just release and talk about it. And it was a pivotal moment in my life because I was scared about turning 30. I was fearful. You know, I thought that I was supposed to have a house. I was supposed to have cars paid off. I was supposed to have the family. I was supposed to have all these different things that I desired to have by the age of 30 wasn't happening. And that was a failure for me. So I slipped into a really dark place. And during the time of me recording 30, that was kind of my escape, and it helped me, you know. After that, I did an album called Love Is. Love is oh my gosh. I think Love Is probably my favorite album still to this day. And I think the reason why Love Is was my favorite album of this day, I think it's because I recorded that album in 3 weeks. It wasn't planned, as none of my albums are, honestly. It's kind of like the Lord be like, go do this. And I go do it. I go talk about that. And it just turns into something. But for Love Is, it was something that was easy for me as it pertains to the process of it coming together. I never done an album where everything just came together so easily. If you heard that album, there was interludes that were spoken word and scriptures and different stuff about love and God's love and the importance of all that, which uh, fell in line with the songs. And it was just a good time to have songs like More, have songs on there like Do It For Me, songs on there like Church Folks, or songs on there like My Everything. These are particular songs that were all meaning for songs to me. Do It For Me was talking about my relationship with, going through divorce and finding out that my daughter wasn't mine, or my relationship that I had with my father, and how, I had to get over certain things to be able to get to a place in a space of healing and love and all that different things. So it was a very therapeutic album.
Ooh, yeah. I remember was yesterday. Ooh, yeah. I got the call about my baby. Oh, no, no. Test results, they say she isn't mine. And my ex, she knew this whole time. But to take my own life, I can't live without my baby. I much rather die. God, it's been 10 years. I'm still paying child support for another man's kid. God, can you help me?
Nothing or Nobody was created and started by my sister Pam and her husband Finney, and they had this dream and this vision to start this company, this website, Nothing or Nobody, which Nothing or Nobody represents strength and courage and reminders that nothing or nobody can stop you from reaching your maximum potential. Not even you. You're great. The Bible says I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So as long as you have the strength of God who's in you, that rests in you, as long as he's leading you, as long as he's guiding you, as long as you make him the center of whatever it is that you're trying to do, you are going to be okay. So nothing or nobody can stop you from reaching that potential, your maximum potential. And I think that sometimes you, speaking to me, or even you, can be your own worst critic, can be your own hindrance, can be the person that stops you from being great. It ain't the people around you. It could be you. You feeding into your own insecurities. You're feeding into your own thoughts. You're feeding into the naysayers who, if they're not doing the 3 F's, feeding, financing, or finessing you. But if they're not doing any of those things, then you should not really care about their thoughts and opinions or perception. You know? So I wanted to make sure that people get the reminder that nothing or nobody can stop you. Not even you. So that's what this album is about. It's there are, I believe, 10 brand new songs. And then I have some other songs from other projects that I've put onto this album. I'm super, super excited about. I partnered up with Nothing or Nobody, the organization, which again, I told you that's my sister and her husband. And we came together and have created what I consider to be some really good music, some really inspiring, encouraging music. One of the things that I really wanted to do with this particular project is I wanted people to see me on the other side, you know, on the other side of fear, on the other side of insecurity, on the other side of depression, on the other side of all of the things that I felt in albums previous. I want you guys to not only, I want you to feel the victorious. Like we're overcomers. We're victorious. We can do, I keep saying it, but we can do it. We can do all things, you know? And I want this album to be inspiring and encouraging. Like, I don't care what it looks like. I don't care what it feels like. I refuse to have gone through all of the stuff that I've gone through, whether it was suicide attempts, whether it was divorce, whether it was finding out my daughter wasn't mine, whether it was the insecurities that I have about my father, whether it was the insecurities I had about myself, whether it was me not loving myself, or whatever those things are. I wanted those to people to see you can come out on the other side. You can be okay. You will be all right. You can make it as long as you put God in your life and make sure that He is the center and the head. He's all of those things. You will be all right. And then we have some brand new music like King, which I'm super excited about. King is a reminder of who you are. And it's funny because I wrote it before the George Floyd situation happened, before all of the riots and everything happened. It was really just a song reminding myself of of who I am. I'm destined for greatness. I'm taking back my power, the power that I've given to other people, the power that they have to control my emotions. Nah, you don't get that. I'm great. I'm 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 me. I'm unique. There's only gonna be one VanSwan. There's only gonna be one whoever you are. And I think that song was just a reminder, like it's time out. Walk in your authority. You know, if you serve a God who's powerful, who's mighty, who can do all things, and if he resides in you, then you need to walk in that same authority. And I think that that's what King is about. That's what so many other songs on this album is about. And it just reminded people. So I'm super excited. I just want to tell you guys, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for supporting me throughout the years. Thank you for even the people who are just now discovering who VanSwan is. The songs, the music, the videos, the previous work. Thank you. Thank you. Because it's not easy to be an artist. It's not easy to be transparent. It's not easy to go into the studio and to create albums and to do it solo or to do it with a little to sometimes no help. It's not always easy. But what helps me keep going, even though y'all gonna pick my stuff apart and judge it and rip it apart and all that, what helps keep me going is remembering that it ain't about me. It's not. It is not about me. It is about that person, that little boy who might be insecure, who might be dealing with abandonment issues, who might be wanting to be more than what they are, who don't want to be a product of their environment, who might be dealing with the pressure of being a man, to that older person, to that father, to that black man who's like, I love the Lord, but I'm still struggling in areas. But you being honest, you keeping it 100 is helping me. It's changing my perspective. It makes me want to get to know God. Even though I might have been church hurt. I want to push past that. And I can do that because I listen to your music. I wouldn't typically listen to gospel music. That style, you know? But this I rock with. It's y'all. It's the people. It's the comments like that that keeps me going. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So as I close, remember, let nothing or nobody stop you from reaching your maximum potential. You are great. So do great. Be great.